So here we are again, gathered on this third Sunday for part 5 of 6 in our Growing and Leading Ourselves Whole series. It was inspired by Reverend Tom Owen Tolley's book, Growing a Beloved Community, 12 Hallmarks to a Healthy Congregation. And we've been exploring the spiritual practices and shared values that help Unitarian Universalist congregations not just survive, but truly thrive. Today, we turn our attention to 2 hallmarks that are deeply intertwined: practicing respect, which we've been already talking about, and nurturing stewardship. These 2 words, respect and stewardship, may sound really simple, like manners, respect, and stewardship giving, but they are anything but shallow. They shape our relationships, our decision-making, and our shared sense of purpose. Respect and stewardship are heartbeats of congregational life, and when we live them well, they generate belonging and renewal. Reverend Owen Tolley writes, quote, "Respect is the oil that allows the gears of church life to mesh smoothly," end quote. So I ask you again, how do you feel and show respect here at church? For some, it's using the correct pronouns. For others, it might be choosing less ableist language. It might mean remembering that while we do call ourselves a church, not everyone here believes in God. We are a pluralist denomination. It could also mean simply asking before reaching to touch out and hug someone or touch their hair. Sometimes we get it right, and sometimes we miss the mark. But what happens when respect isn't shown? When harm is caused, even unintentionally? In Unitarian Universalism, we affirm the inherent worth and dignity of every person, but we know that affirming a value and practicing it are not the same thing. Respect is not just politeness. It's the daily effort to really see a person, respond to them, and make space for others to fully be themselves. Respect also means naming and addressing microaggressions, those small and often unintentional acts that carry deep impact, like touching someone's sacred items without asking permission, or dismissing or interrupting someone because their speech or communication style is unfamiliar. These little moments matter, and how we respond with humility, apology, and a willingness to change matters just as much. Author and activist John Stoltenberg once wrote, quote, "Justice between people is perhaps the most important connection people can have." And that was justice between 2 individuals is perhaps the most important connection people can have, end quote. He reminds us that if we fail to practice right relationships on an individual basis in our closest communities, then our public efforts of justice lose integrity. Practicing justice, equity, and compassion in human relations can be harder within our congregations than anywhere else. So how can UU communities foster this kind of deep and embodied respect? Well, according to Native American activist Catherine Atla, she says that healthy congregations practice what is called the, quote, big law of respect. She says that a respectful church is one where boundaries are honored, sabotage is addressed, and sabotage, she means things like gaslighting gaslighting is one of those buzzwords that can also be a challenge for people to know when it's happening. Are y'all familiar with that term, gaslighting? Some are. So let me just say for a moment, that is when it's like everybody knows that the trees are green, but someone is insisting that no, it's something else, and you're just, and it starts to get everyone to believe that perhaps they are not green. Perhaps they are a different color. And so then you start to feel confused and like maybe you're not certain of yourself. So that's what gaslighting is. And so she says that things like this and sabotage and things where you just know that that's not true, even if I don't quite know how to pinpoint naming that. Facing those kinds of things as well as bigger kinds of crisis. Those things are faced with courage. She goes on to say that every vibrant community, which is us, every vibrant community lives in the tension between harmony and growth, knowing that progress brings change, and change often brings anxiety, and anxiety often leads to conflict, big or small. And she says that this conflict can be transformational. It can be healthy and good. Owen Tolley writes that hardy turmoil elicits new ideas and understandings. It's the fire in which a vibrant parish is tempered, end quote. Healthy congregations don't avoid discomfort. They learn how to engage it with love. They lift up congregational guidelines, like the covenant of right relations that we have here on the wall, that we can have some more assistance with turning to in times of disagreement or even small disharmonies. Doing this kind of work helps members learn how to stay connected even when it's hard. And here at UUCT, we're taking this wisdom seriously, and as you heard, we're working to develop a right relations team to work alongside our Committee on Shared Ministry to help us navigate hard moments with care, curiosity, and integrity. I mean, like we just said earlier, many of us make mistakes and sometimes need someone to help us process how to repair it and maybe how to have a more challenging conversation with compassion. Right relations team members will be trained and have a particular skill set to assist, even if it's just listening and giving some feedback. This helps create a culture of true welcome and acceptance, a culture where every person, regardless of identity, age, ability, background, or neurotype, feels safe to show up as their full self and find belonging. It's the kind of beloved community that we are working to build when we say that we're building a new way. And so if respect is how we care for one another, stewardship is how we care for all we've built together, our space, our resources, our relationships, and our dreams. UU minister Reverend Michael A. Schuler once wrote, quote, "If you are proud of this church, become its advocate. If you are concerned for its future, share its message. If its values resonate deep with you, give it a measure of your devotion," end quote. Too often, stewardship gets confined to pledge season or budget meetings, but real stewardship is ongoing. It's how we say week after week, I believe in this place and I will help carry it forward. Owen Tolley describes stewards as, quote, keepers of the hall, end quote. Those who help keep the church spiritually, financially, and programmatically vibrant. Stewards coach, they tend, they record, they repair and reconnect. They don't lead out of ego, but out of shared responsibility. All of us are stewards. Stewards show up through joys and sorrows, through disagreements and disappointment. Their loyalty is not to personalities, no matter how great they are, or perfection, but to the promise of beloved community. Stewardship is grounded in generosity and shared responsibility. It is the open-hearted practice of giving ourselves to one another, to the wider world, and to the sacred. Owen Tolley tells of asking congregants what value best captures our faith. People often name love, and many say justice. But the value that undergirds them both, that makes them sustainable, is generosity. Owen Tolley says that without generosity, love just becomes sentimental, and justice will become inconsistent. Generosity is the heartbeat of our faith in action. And stewardship also shows up today as we gather after worship for our congregational vote to affirm our budget and to elect in new board members, knowing that voting isn't just administrative, it's spiritual. It's a public act of care and commitment, and it says that this is my church and I care enough to shape its future. Stewardship thrives in trust when people feel seen and their contributions are respected, when transparency and shared values guide the decision-making process, and that's why your presence, your input today and on many days matters, because you matter. Respect and stewardship are not separate. They strengthen and deepen one another. When we feel respected, we feel more likely to give. When our gifts are honored, we feel more connected. And together they nourish the soil in which beloved community can take root. This is especially true now as we continue navigating towards a more lay-led ministry, knowing that in this upcoming season, all will be invited into deeper participation. Keeping in mind that worship itself is a shared creation, that our care is communal, that leadership is collaborative, and while this may feel new to some and uncertain to others, that it indeed is the sacred work of beloved community, and it's possible because of each of you. Knowing that respect will guide you with grace, it will help you to meet each other in trust, even in the tension. It will help you to listen more deeply, to love more honestly, and to stay at the table longer. Stewardship will sustain you. It will remind you to give what you can, to show up when you're able, to vote, to volunteer, to dream, and to build. So let us be a congregation where respect is not optional, it is essential. Let stewardship be not be a burden, but a joy. And let us be a community of courageous generosity to help us keep practicing welcome, to keep showing up, and to keep growing together. May it be so. Amen.